Fresh ideas about how to fight the trade war with the U.S. have begun to fly in China after Beijing was unable to respond in full to the latest escalation in the dispute because it is rapidly running out of room to use tariffs as a weapon. U.S. President Donald Trump announced on Monday that he would impose 10% tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese imports on September 24, with the tariff rate rising to 25% on January 1 if Beijing does not make concessions. Combined with the previous $50 billion tariffs on Chinese imports, about half of all Chinese exports will be affected by the measures. Trump has further threatened to target to all Chinese imports unless China agrees to settle the dispute. The Chinese response to Trump's latest move was on a far smaller scale, tariffs of between 5% and 10% on $60 billion of American goods, and it is now running out of leeway to target U.S. imports further. When the latest levy goes into force on Monday, $110 billion of the total $150 billion in American imports to China will be affected. Tariffs on the remaining $40 billion, including key manufacturing components such as semiconductors, would hamstring Chinese manufacturers. It is becoming increasingly clear to Chinese officials that the chances of a swift end to the trade war are diminishing rapidly, forcing them to explore new ways to respond. China won't use yuan exchange rate as trade war weapon, Lee says. Arthur Kroeber, research head and co-founder of the financial services company Gavical, said Chinese leaders' previous tactics, including a few buying missions to Washington, a red carpet welcome for Trump in Beijing, and an attempt to cut a deal with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, had all failed. China will respond with its own tariffs, start squeezing U.S. companies where it can, and dig in for a war of attrition, Kroeber said. The focus of debate in China is shifting to finding new ways of hurting the U.S. Government officials and state media are proposing, among other things, embargoing exports of certain important components to the U.S. and levying asymmetrical tariffs on U.S. products, putting different tariff rates on different products. An opinion piece published on the official social media account of People's Daily, the Chinese Communist Party's official mouthpiece, argued on Wednesday that China must go beyond the dollar-for-dollar tariff tactics, since China cannot match Washington in a tit-for-tat battle. Trump, we probably have no choice but to put tariffs on all Chinese goods, but the opinion piece, published under a pen name, said China could not seek revenge in terms of quantity, but could pick its own battles and fight on in its own way. The piece argued that China could impose relatively low tariffs on imported U.S. materials for which it is hard to find alternatives, and charge much higher tariffs on products such as raw materials with easy alternatives, luxury items and discretionary consumer product and manufactured products that are in direct competition with China's own manufacturers. Liu Jiwei, China's former finance minister and now chairman of the National Council for Social Security Fund, told the China Development Forum on Sunday that the country could move beyond tariffs and impose export embargoes on certain materials and components that are sold to the U.S. He said it was not hard to spot the Chinese products that matter most to the U.S. We can pick some of those products being excluded from the U.S. list of new tariffs. Are those items being dropped after loud complaints from U.S. businesses, he said. U.S. congressmen call out China leadership over trade war stance. Nearly 300 Chinese products were fully or partially removed from the original tariffs list after lobbying by U.S. businesses. One of the items dropped was rare earth metals, a vital mineral for high-tech manufacturers of which China is the world's biggest exporter. Smartwatches and Bluetooth gadgets were also exempted, partly at the urging of tech giant Apple, along with health and safety products like bicycle helmets and high chairs for children. There will be no winner in the trade war, but regarding these exported products, China's marginal loss will be small but US's marginal loss will be big, Liu said. China has openly stated that they are actively trying to impact and change our election by attacking our farmers, ranchers and industrial workers because of their loyalty to me. What China does not understand is that these people are great patriots and fully understand that. Donald J. Trump, at Real Donald Trump, September 18, 2018. The People's Daily article also said that China could take advantage of the trade war by replacing imported products with homemade ones. Much of China's retaliatory tariffs have been aimed at U.S. agriculture and energy products, many of which come from states that strongly supported Trump in the 2016 presidential election. The U.S. president has expressed fury that China is targeting his supporters, tweeting on Monday, China has openly stated that they are actively trying to impact and change our election by attacking our farmers, ranchers and industrial workers because of their loyalty to me. He threatened that there will be great and fast economic retaliation if they continue to be targeted.